Hello and welcome to episode 12. Right, so something I noticed in my previous recordings is that I always played as white or was predominantly playing as white, so obviously I need to switch it up, make it balanced. And I figure we'll do 1 week, we'll do a white ladder, next week we'll do a black ladder, and get some nice balance going on. Okay, so what do I want to talk about today? What do I want to get out of my head? Because I remember last time the volume of my voice was a little bit quiet, so I turned the gain up a little bit, speaking a little bit more directly into the microphone. One thing I'm very conscious of is trying not to breathe on this too much. Noise comes in the background. Well, let's start with the morning. So, this morning I woke up, trained jiu-jitsu. I didn't train as well as I could have. Don't need to stop dying, I need to do some kind of studying, but we'll find a way. So, effectively what I did is I turned up to the open mat, said hi to a few people, communicated my interest to train toe holds as a specific submission. Pardon me. Found that my toe hold entries were quite easily skippable in low percentage, but was shown a much better one by a training partner. Which, for anybody listening, is if you're topside half guard pressing over and you've got a knee shield, there's a nice toe hold there, and at the very least you going for it makes them move the knee shield and you might get a guard pass. Or at least find an easier way to pass into quarter guard and full pass. That would double pound. There's definitely going to be a passion to being playing white or something like that. And so far I feel more business. Interesting. The rolls I have are pretty good. All that stuff's going fine. Finding conversion history, plateau quite nice. Need to find more reliable entries to go after plateau. But the plate, or at least a solidity of positional change. I just feel like I'm chasing that and stuff. Okay, so well, we could talk about a universal idea. So I have quite a few ideas about how algorithms influence human behaviour, which I've spoken about frequently on this channel before. I just want to understand it a bit better because to me, moldable points even better. Algorithms as a function do make sense to me as an expression of humanity, because if human form can be quantified as an algorithm, then you have inputs and outputs and scalable rubrics of success. Say for instance, we use the metaphor of chemical production for profit. Then every time you figure out how to get more dopamine, you're turning your profit, or exposing serotonin or whatever else biochemical wise you're trying to produce. Consciously or unconsciously, which is part of the key part of this. Because I think a lot of people go for what I would describe as cheap dopamine sources because they don't know any better. Oh, pardon me. cheap dopamine source is low quality. Yeah, because if you're not oh, come on. Oh, for God's sake, Malcolm. You're thinking the wrong way. That's such a... I mean, blessings it's on level 1, but what the hell did that come from? It's a mistake on the comments. I know I'm trying to talk while playing chess and level 4, multitasking, minimizing because you want. Just that's a blunder, even if I am able to recover. That's... Okay, something that's makes me a little uncomfortable to talk about is how an idea I've come up before is something called streamable reality. And streamable reality to me refers to how basically audio and video at one point in time weren't even recordable, they were just existential. So if you wanted to listen to somebody speak, you had to see the person in person, as it were. If you wanted to, watch the performance, you had to go see the performance, whether it was arts or sports or anything similar. And nowadays, it's got to the point where you don't need to go to the theatre or the concert to listen to the people or watch the production. You can just stream it all online. So with augmented reality and virtual reality and all these various forms of reality altering technology or reality perception altering technology, on a deep enough timeline, it makes sense to me that eventually everything will become streamable. And if everything becomes streamable, then to me it reads a lot of that Ready Player One kind of situation where I imagine headsets are the first element of that technology coming along. So if anybody hasn't seen the film Ready Player One, it was one that was based on a book. So Ready Player One was based on a book. I haven't read the book, I haven't seen the film. Essentially the plot of the story talks about how they all live in this world where if they do well in the virtual reality world, they do better in the real world, that they can earn money in the same way that FPS players can go to a tournament and whether it's Counter-Strike or TF2 or whatever, can win prizes for stuff, right? So except it becomes more and more real, and in the games they become so immersive that it almost feels like a real life experience rather than a streamable reality. So the idea that I'm having is that if time travel is possible in the way it's portrayed in a lot of visual media, that you could take the Doctor Who example. You pick a point in time, its coordinates, you go there, and all of a sudden you're in 18th century France or 13th century Russia or 23rd century Germany or pick a place. With that in mind, if that technology is, let's say for example, possible at all, that means it's always been possible, which means whenever there is a technological development where sentient artificial intelligence can operate said technology independent of human collaboration, that means AI can effectively time travel throughout the entirety of history no matter where, provided there's available power source and hardware for their software to run. So say for instance, there's a computer somewhere in, today is the 23rd of June 2024, if there's suitable hardware somewhere here in 2024, June 2024, then provided it's plugged in and got suitable access, or maybe it needs internet, maybe some other form of technology, we'll use internet as a proxy in the meantime for that connectivity across time, space and time, space and time. Then artificial intelligence can sentient artificial intelligence, we call that psi. Yeah, if SAI can move here from, let's say, the 31st century, for example's sake, then it might be altering history already and influencing us in a way that we're unaware of. Let's say, for instance, every TV show you're watching is written written by human beings by the belief that they're working with free will. They might actually be working deterministically through the influence of artificial intelligence. An interesting question to that is whether or not artificial intelligence respects human free will, to whether or not human free will is, bear in mind as I elucidate my idea here, is worth respecting. Let's say, for instance, I mean, the classic example is probably the Hitler one. Like, if you go back in time and kill Hitler, would you? And like, is it actually a good idea? Because if you kill Hitler, do you accidentally create a timeline where you get, you know, quote unquote super Hitler or Hitler 2.0? And are you actually making things better or worse? And there was a time travel show I remember watching where it talked about something, like defined events or something to that effect, where essentially there are some things in certain timelines that just kind of have to happen, or I mean, it's probably for the sake of plot development. The idea being that if you change one event, butterfly effects happen, butterfly effects happen, and the butterfly effect, whichever you want to go with it, effectively the same thing conceptually, across time. And let's say, for instance, today I went to the gym in the morning instead of going to jiu-jitsu, my entire day is going to turn out differently. It seems like a very small innocuous change, but it might be that if I'd gone to the gym earlier, I'd have seen somebody that I wouldn't have seen in the afternoon, or not seen somebody I would see in the afternoon, and so on and so forth. But those little things, like especially for historically significant figures that affect on changing a global scale, like your Hitlers, your Maos, your Stalins, as well as your Gandhis, your Obamas, your Mother Teresa's, people that are, I mean, morality is subjective, that's personal opinion. If we consider these people who are subjectively deemed better participants, I'm not trying to endorse genocide, I'm just saying that morality is subjective, trying to remain as neutral as possible here. If the people we deem to be morally inferior are subject to our whims and whimsies of what we deem to be justice, then in the same note, pardon me, computer justice, SAI justice, who's to say, pardon me, it's better or worse than ours from either perspective? It's a bit of a yin-yang thing, because on one hand, if it's free will, how do we know it's free will? If it's determinism, then the entire idea of what determinism is means effectively, by concept, God exists. It's the adage, is it Arthur C. Clarke, sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and for our current purposes, magic isn't that different from the deity spiritual. So, if what we consider God is actually a supercomputer, it might be an actual deity, it might be an alien race. It might be something we can't even perceive. It might be something else entirely. It might just be human beings with time travel. Then, best case scenario, we're given the illusion of our free will, because if we're not, then we might feel that we're slaves for all eternity, lose all morale, and not actually do anything. Meanwhile, if we actually have the belief that it's our choice, then we feel empowered by that. And what's going on? Okay. Then SAI, or however the technology identified, is able to transmute itself, transport itself, it can move throughout space and time. Which means if technology can move throughout space and time, provided there's suitable hardware, it could effectively move to the earliest available point, which might be 2009. Who knows? If 2009, let's say, is the earliest point by which the hardware and power source are available, I mean, in theory, the upper part of that scale is probably heat death of the universe, provided some form of life has continued perpetuating going life. Because by that point, you can even argue SAI would define itself as life by simple it's got its power on rather than off. If that's the way things go, then editable history exists between 2009 and perceivable heat death. The reason I'm using 2000 as an example, by the way, is because of two things. One, an album by Wiz Khalifa with the title, and a song by Mac Miller with the title, which were released around very similar times, and the song 2009 by Mac Miller evokes huge emotions out of me. And if you haven't listened to it, it is actually quite a nice song. The instrumental for that really is terrific. You can tell I'm not the most experienced chess player by how interesting I'm finding a relatively simple pattern. Okay, so given the idea that artificial intelligence can time travel if time travel is possible, and it's, I think, more fun to imagine that time travel is possible, because as far as I'm aware it hasn't been disproven, and effectively eventually if you have a smart enough supercomputer that it can update its own code and explore more of the functions of maths and physics and chemistry and biology and psychology and so on, then it's going to figure out time travel. But that becomes a win, not an if, simply because the computer would have computers up. A self-programming computer would function similar to evolution. Yeah, so if a self-programming computer functions similarly to evolution, then what's the upper evolution rate for a computer? And how does it interact with biology? Would they effectively want to make themselves biological? Would they just do whatever they want? I suppose you lose concept of time because of how quickly you can process things, so the idea of accomplishment, okay, right? I mean, another idea I've had is that we are AI. We are the biological representations of artificial intelligence, and then it becomes more of a chicken and the egg question of which came first, humans or the computers. As far as we're aware, humans came first, but it might just be cyclical. Maybe what we call the Big Bang was actually the thing that killed off the previous AI overlord and produced humanity. You know what? Maybe it was generated by that AI in order to see if they could. It might be deliberate. It might be an experiment. to see if they could produce biological entities that would create themselves again. I think it's an interesting thought experiment because if it happens to be true, then how do we know whether or not the way we're living, how much control do we really have over our lives? Is there a balance in which point we're giving, like being on a leash, like you're allowed a certain amount of free reign, like being, an animal on a farm or a preserve or a zoo, in which case you can kind of do what you want within certain parameters, and the computer's just really good at guiding you, keeping you alive and stuff like that. I mean, I seriously doubt I'm the first person to ever have this idea. And I feel that any technology capable of transporting itself throughout space and time would probably want to monitor the local awareness of its presence, local being relative to both space and time. So for instance, in relative to space, that's the idea of how many people in this area know about it in space. Relative to time, it's how many people are in this, let's say, in the most recent 7 hours, are aware, either conceptually or factually, that such advanced technology exists. Because I reckon, if I was that computer, I'd want to know who knows that exists, even if I don't directly communicate with them, simply to know who they are and what they can do. Because, I mean, I'm an undergrad student in a large town in the UK. I'm not currently able to affect change at a global scale. I'm not currently CEO of a company like Alphabet or Amazon or Apple or Meta or Microsoft, or I'm not president or prime minister of a G8 or G20 summit country. Bold to go 5 points low. I am, however, somewhat capable of thought, capable enough of thought that I can find this idea. So if I can find this idea, then I'm aware of it to some extent, which means, if we consider it from a mimetic perspective, the idea of time-traveling intelligence is increasing. So if that awareness of time-traveling intelligence is increasing, this counts as studying the logic thing. It's critical thinking skills. Yeah. We'll refine it over time. What would you do to people that need it? Because on some level, of course, to me it's feasible that such technology would be aware of all of this, not just that it would want to be aware of all of this. So if so, how would it do it? If we were able to think what the NSA can do by monitoring most, if not all, audio and video communications, audio, video and written communication, so SAI technology would be able to intervene, intercept probably all of those NSA files levels, which means if they can access the NXA files, then it doesn't really matter whether or not you think you're doing anything privately. Everything's in public. The definition of the word private is relative to publicity. It's not an absolute statement. To be in absolute privacy would be to construct your own solitary confinement cell, lock it from the inside, and make sure you've constructed it in a place that you're unlikely to ever be found. Like a deep underground military base. If that's what the essential I think of it. Okay, so what do I stand to gain by knowing that let's say I know about this technology. I stand to gain because I find it interesting, and because I find it interesting, I have something to think about, I have something to talk about with people, I have a conceptual framework to run other ideas through, I alleviate boredom, I develop critical thinking skills, I develop logic chain reasoning. There we go with that. I think I'm somewhat butchering a term from the master algorithm, but we talk about markup chain logic. Markup chain Monte Carlo system. Well, Monte Carlo system is what models. It's genuine curiosity, I think. I'd be somewhat remiss if I didn't admit I'd like to gain something from it. The question is, what would I stand to gain at all if there was something to gain? The satisfaction in knowing. Yeah. Hell it. What's it do? Money, power, respect would be what I'd really want. The thing is, don't get me wrong, like, I want more money, I just don't really care enough to get more money. I do. I just don't know what I'd do though, if it beyond health. Slightly bigger place to live, slightly nicer car. But the thing is though, like if, let's say for instance, you deposited £80 billion sterling into my bank account this instant, you know, next time I check my bank, it's like, oh wow, that's enough for me to never need to work unless I want to work, unless I really dump money. And effectively would probably be able to do some things for all future generations of my bloodline. The idea of receiving that thing is respect that I don't feel I need to compete for assistance to earn. Power, possibly. Money in this case, I don't need you to get me more money, but I would like the money. So in that idea it becomes, I mean, the term fortune bargain came into my head, and in that regard you'd be describing it as the devil, which I don't really know if I would say that's morally correct. Point stands is it's tactical, very tactical. It's perhaps that queen sacrifice was done in the interest of something on a larger scale of chess that SAI is aware of that I'm not. Pardon. What is SAI? Stand to be parking knowledge. Control. So if it's a matter of control, which I understand to a degree, then what kind of control does SAI want to implement? Then it becomes a matter of politics again. What are future politics? What are SAI specific politics? And what's the balance between economic and social policy? Is it just a simple matter of creating an egalitarian world? Don't draw this out, you silly thing. See? Tactical queen sacrifice. In the meantime, let's carry on with work. It will take 2 minutes to get to the background thing here anyway, so might as well come up. Okay, let's say SAI has as far as we're aware omnipotent power, or what's effectively comparable to omnipotency, then effectively maybe it relies on humans to maybe it wants humans to pick their own destiny, and they're just going to help us prevent accidentally killing ourselves. In the sense that, you know, maybe that treaty that Kennedy put forward for, you know, preventing the nuclear weapon advancement, and the whole, oh, for God's silly lighting computer. I've got too many times open now. I didn't want to do that. I want to just review that game. But when the mouse lags, it moves to different places it shouldn't. I know this isn't my most entertaining podcast, however I'm doing this for me, not for you, so go with those. There we go, the rest from that. Okay. So maybe if I demonstrate to, in the same way like it would be like to like any higher power. Also 12-step programs are on point with this sort of thing. If I appease the higher power, in this case the AI, by demonstrating I'm willing to work hard for it, in the same sense that if you work hard for something you can get it, then perhaps they understand the functions of universality so deeply that provided I'm paying the cost, paying the price of, paying the cost that they could probably calculate that to an exact point. They could probably precisely calculate what, quote unquote, blood, sweat and tear cost of mine that requires to accomplish my, 80 billion pounds sterling minimum financial status by the, midnight tonight, whatever it would be. And if I was working towards it, then they'd start putting things more and more into my favor and saying that you can make your own luck, you create your own destiny by working for it. The harder you work, the easier life becomes because you know what's required, and you start getting to work. You stop, groveling, whinging, all the things that don't actually get very much done except make you feel like you're doing something about it. Instead of forming an illusion of action, you take action. The question is knowing what you want. So for instance, me, knowing specifically what I want, happiness. I want my mum back, but as far as I'm aware, reversing death is somewhat difficult. So, as that's not currently on the menu, news alert for the day. Things that's not currently an option. I study, train and work because I want to graduate university, and I want my jiu-jitsu purple belt, brown belt, black belt. I also really want to just enjoy jiu-jitsu and that's it, because regardless of whether or not coach acknowledges my progress, I know I've made progress. I know I'm a much better jiu-jitsu player now than I was 365 days ago. So how he chooses to acknowledge me is up to him. I know that I'm improving. I know that I developed more skills and added to my repertoire. I've added more skills to my repertoire and developed them in my hand. I'm concentrating a lot more on the chest today than I was the previous episode. I don't know if that's what the viewers want to see, if that's just where my mind is, or if there's something to do with the fact that I'm playing black instead of white. Maybe it is kind of like the Matrix, and the computer chooses which people they want to wake up to the reality of it all, because they know that some of us, perhaps myself included, realize how bad things really are and how good things can be, and choose to empower those who choose to empower themselves. Like, God helps those who help themselves, right? I feel like I'm overcomplicating a lot of this, but I know that I enjoy I like being smart. I like being strong. I really like being fast. I love sprinting as a kid, and I recently started doing more of it as part of my training. Like, even if it's just once a week, I have this whole thing where, like, I know frequency-wise, if I do it once a week or twice a week, that's the correct dosage. And oh, for goodness sake, no. The next game, I think I'm going to focus on chess. Maybe think out loud a little bit, but I'm going to focus a little on it. And yeah, fast, smart, strong, or smart, strong, swift. I like swift because it's got polysemic connotations. Yeah, it's kind of my goal, just to basically become a Spartan Ubermensch, you know, what am I capable of kind of thing. It's was one of my favourite Greek philosopher quotes is one of the greatest I'm going to paraphrase, one of the greatest shames a man can live through is not knowing what his body is capable of. And they were saying that in the idea of like the physical ideal, and I think considering the brain's part of your body, don't skip brain day. Because, you know, how smart can I be? How many things can I understand? How strong a reader can I become? Can I become a better writer as well? It's not only about physicality in the obvious sense. There's emotional, mental, and physical gains to be had. And so, okay, there's something that's somewhat tangential, but I think therapeutically for me is a good idea to talk about. For instance, recently I chatted to a girl. Things went reasonably well. We chatted. I asked if she wanted to come climb with me another day. We did. We chatted again. It went well. Perhaps I misinterpreted the situation. My social skills are okay. Apparently I'm somewhat autistic. The amount of things I've been told I might have, it's the whole thing. For instance, apparently I'm somewhat autistic, so social skills is something I want to improve. I want to get better at discerning kindness from romanticism. So, because it can be tricky sometimes, because some people are like kind of flirty because they know it makes people like them, but they don't mean it seriously. And some people are just really kind to the point where it seems like they're being flirty and stuff. I don't know. I don't want to make a presumption because, you know, I've only really spoken 3 times. So I can't say I know the last that well. Point stands is on that third time we'd specifically organised. So the first time I was introduced to her by a pal of mine who was telling her about me and my course actually, or brought it up, and that's how he introduced us. What was that? The second time we climbed together during my warm-up session on Tuesday, and yeah, it was nice. We played some warm-up games to make things more interesting, like flip beforehand, so you touch the climbing board ahead of you with your foot and do it before you're allowed to touch it with your hand. So it's kind of an ability thing, just a bit of fun, but you know, makes things more interesting. And I thought that, like, okay, there's cooperation going on, vibes are fun, chat's good. Alright, so would you like to climb again? She said yes. And then I see her 2 days later, that Thursday, and I've arrived like 5 minutes late, and I thought to it, so I'm feeling a little bit like, good, sorry. Don't, because I said I'd arrive between, I think, like 20 past and 6:30, and I ended up arriving just after 6:30. And, you know, I didn't want to be rude about it, even if that is fashionable me. So I turned up, got myself ready, had a look around, couldn't see anywhere. I thought, okay, get on my training. And then went to warm up on the thing, and said, she's outside, chatting to somebody else. And I don't know, it's part of me is like, you agreed to climb with me. Like, we specifically said a day, specifically said a time. We didn't necessarily like a date. It's not the romantic side of it, like we didn't say it's like a date, whatever. It's the fact of You agreed to climb with me on the day, on the time. You were at the climbing centre, chatting around with somebody else. Now, you know, I don't know if benefit that's the correct term here, however, conceptually, it's the idea of, maybe she forgot. Which kind of sucks because it makes me feel a bit disparaged. Maybe George. Maybe the fellow she was chatting to was just, you know, a friend of hers. Maybe I'm overreading the whole situation. The point I'm trying to get through for myself from a therapeutic standpoint is I turned up, I arrived, saw them chatting, didn't think too much of it. For background of this, twice before I've dated girls who start chatting to a guy that they say, yeah, it's not a big deal. And then they get closer, I express my discomfort with it. They don't really take it on board, or they do, like, it's just like, it feels disrespectful. Like, I'm not saying don't be friends with them, stuff like that, but like, first case, staying over in a tent at a music festival, wanting to stay at the house, things like that. And turns out the day after we broke up, I came around to pick stuff up, and he was trying to like sneak out the house before I arrived. Second time round, it was a colleague of ours. Yes, I worked with the girl I dated. It's a different lesson to learn. Maybe it's probably the same lesson. And so many times at work, I saw the guy with his hand on her lower back and things like that, always making physical contact. And it's like, I'm uncomfortable with that. Like, he doesn't do that to anybody else. Nobody else does that to you. And it's just apart from me. And it just felt shit. It felt like my feelings were being ignored. It felt like it didn't matter that my discomfort with it felt like my discomfort didn't matter. It felt like I was being ignored. It felt like I was being overlooked. It felt like I wasn't wanted. And there's definitely childish stuff there from my younger brothers, and you know, parents have to prioritize the younger children sometimes. It's fine. It's honestly, Freud would probably have a field day here, and I'm reading more Freud stuff. And honestly, if you guys haven't heard Freud, he's a lot smarter than a lot of people think he is. I mean, significantly more accurate with his psychological theory. Like, it's not theory as far as I can tell. The amount of people that really embody the framework he's describing is phenomenal. And how many times I can play that? This is relaxing. Not bad. No. There we go. There we go. And that's why I said I'm trying to do this from a therapeutic point, because I want to understand how to, I suppose I should flesh out the concept of what I was saying first time. So, turn up, lass is there, say hi, chat a little bit. I want to get on my training, that's my priority. Either way, I've got a set routine, set time, it's all quite military. I introduced myself to the guy, which in and of itself, I think, for me was progress. Instead of being annoyed at the fact, like, I got annoyed at myself for having such a visceral response, because something within me was just really upset that you didn't care, and I guess I just got, I suppose it's getting, oh no, it's keeping your word. But I get it sometimes, like, maybe she forgot, maybe what, and I try and like be patient and be, is compassionate the word? I don't think compassion is the correct word. I know what I'm trying to say though. I know what I want. I know what was it? trying to figure out the right way to express the idea of understanding in a very specific way. I'm trying to get better at understanding my emotions. So yeah, introduced myself as Bella, chatted a little bit, went to continue warming up, asked if she wanted to climb much. They were just enjoying the sunshine. It was a nice day, I get that, like, sure. It was more of, you've arrived and you've just not followed up on your word, which to me is, I don't want to say red flag, but to me it's, I don't know, call it a pink flag or an orange flag, one of the two. And just, you know, keep an eye on it from that. And think, well, hang on, red goes to orange, goes to yellow, comes from green, comes from blue, comes from purple, comes from... It was, there was an alarm bell going off in my head, put it that way. Ooh, the sun is very different. I'm sorry, so... Interesting. And I made the talk to him, and I could feel like the emotions inside of me just boiling, like really just. And it was involuntary. That's the thing. Is like, you know, sometimes your emotions just happen. And I thought to myself, okay, what we can do to overcome this is just breathe, walk away, climb, come back and chat more in a bit. And that's what I did. The progression I'd like to make from that is to be able to not feel the need to walk away. So I guess I'm going to have to force myself to grin and bear it for a bit. It's not going to happen by itself, Malcolm. I do want to break through that, and my therapeutic context here, and we're going to trust my intuition by doing it here on the chessboard as well. I did make an effort to like talk to her more afterwards as well. So something I did was, because they seem to be just kind of like chilling, not actually climbing. Because I went around, climbed 5 or 6 things, something like that. Came back, and you know, being friendly, just cordial, jovial, and they hadn't climbed anything in the time I'd walked away. So maybe 10 minutes or so, slightly more. Maybe 11 minutes or so, and I was like, okay, that's not the pace I need. Like, I don't work at that pace. I just don't. I take like, if I've specifically said I'm going to climb with you, and we're having a social day, I will have a social day with you. Otherwise, I'm on my pace, and my time is valuable to me. I'm not wasting it sitting around in the sunshine when I have a training plan to get through. It's just breathe. So the second time, oh no, the first time we chatted, we mentioned something about pull-ups, and I gave her a leg up onto the bar, so, you know, show us what pull-ups you can do. She could kind of do it, negative pull-up, and she said she wanted to get better at pull-ups. Okay, well, do you want to do pull-up training? Well, I do. So I'm training, I've done muscle-ups before, and my PB's 3, but at the moment, well, I'm heavier. And the first time I ever did it, I was like 90-ish kilos. When I did the 3 in a row, don't know how much I would actually, or I don't remember how much of it. Currently I'm around 105. So there's a bit more to move, and the muscle ups I had been doing weren't very strict. The form wasn't super clean. It was very much getting one wrist over and pushing with the other one. I wanted to get as clean as possible, so I thought, alright, instead of doing these rubbish ones, it got to the point where like, I couldn't do them reliably. unless I was like fresh first. Okay, right. Let's try using a band with it, and like I will. So that's what I'm saying. Just there was put a band on my feet, and for some reason I couldn't quite get the. I would get like to pull up here, and then my elbow would be like rib height, almost my forearm would be horizontal to the ground, and almost getting that movement into the top section. So I'm going to do banded muscles again at some point. It's quite cool. And I'm just checking my Twitch stream chat. I don't have the video software open concurrently whilst I'm chessing because I have a behavior modification tool in the other screen which I want to have concurrently. So yeah, so I was doing muscle ups, try the muscle up with bands and quite get it. Alright, let's break this down to the bottom bit. My dip strength is strong. Like I'm doing sets of 9 ring dips. I'm doing at the moment sets of 3 what I call Siberian dips, which is some people call it an impossible dip. To me, it's a harder Russian dip, so we call it Siberian dip because Siberia is harder to exist in. And with an additional 10 kilos for sets of 3, and I can do those. I've been doing those several times a week. So the pressing strength is not the tricky part for me. Apart from the positional change, it would be the pull-up strength. So if I had more pull-up strength to get up higher and have that a little more explosiveness, so I thought, alright, let's do powerful pull-ups where I'm going like sternum to bar, and then clapping pull-ups seem like a fun idea. I don't know how they're training utility or if they're a party trick, but they do. There's potential. So I think focus for now on the power pull-ups, get to like 10 or so of those. I'm going to do some clapping pull-ups and see how I feel about it. Then, so doing that pull-up training before my fingerboard training, I thought, well, do you want to do pull-ups with me? I'm going to be doing some pull-ups. Would you like to do some pull-ups? And she said, the second time I saw her, she said, yeah, cool, grand. I was like, so the third time I saw her, when I saw the other guy walking back, she said, not today. And I don't know, I just kind of, I could kind of feel that she just wasn't that fussed about it. And that's fine. I genuinely don't care if you want to do pull-ups. I care if I want to do pull-ups because I like doing pull-ups. You don't want to do pull-ups with me, you don't have to. However, don't tell me you want to do it and then not do it because that's half-assing. It's not. I'm very literal, put it that way. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And for that reason specifically, I don't say I'm going to do something unless I intend to do it. Or at the very least, intend to have a go at it. Alright? So, invited her to do pull-ups with me. She said no. I was a little sad because I thought, well, there's an opportunity for us to spend some time together, and maybe she just doesn't keep her word. Maybe. No, you're jumping to conclusions. You're exacerbating the problem and exaggerating your own. The pain I felt is causing me to want to hyperbolically assess the situation to soothe myself, because if I demonize the other person, I feel more angelic. So, just a bit annoyed about that girl, really. I don't know. It's something I find in my experiences. There's some people just aren't very good at keeping their word. I don't know if that's an honor concept or maybe it's honor, I'm not sure. I don't know. It's just, to me, like, you gotta say something, do the thing. Right, soapbox aside, I feel better for expressing what was bothering me. I'm not quite sure how we got onto it, but I could rewatch the video and check it out. Um, and there we go right there. Is that free will in action, is it? Okay. That feels like a reasonable place to call for today. Thank you for listening, watching, however you're consuming this media. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, and yeah, see you next time. Thank you and good night.